Luton Town 0, Tottenham Hotspur 1. Tottenham walks away with a 1-0 victory from the Kellenworth Road in a game that was always going to be a challenge, it seemed, from start to finish. But Tottenham do walk away with the victory in this one. Welcome to Top of the Perch. I am your host, as always, Nick Burt. Let's recap this game. So, Mickey van de Ven does get the one goal in the 52nd minute off a corner kick. We'll get to that in a minute. It was a very, very good start for Tottenham. It felt like 4 or 5 different shots on net within the first 15 minutes that felt like they all should have gone in the back of the net, make it at least a 2 or 3-0 game in the first 15 and just, completely knock Luton out of this game. But the Luton back line did its job for most part, kept the ball out of the net. Their goalkeeper looked quite good in that first half. Then it turned into a kind of a defensive chess match, I would say, for the next 15-20 minutes. Fouls were going here and there, but there really wasn't any concise attacking opportunities, I'd say. As we get closer to the end of the first half, it was the 40th-ish minute. Yves Bissouma gets a yellow card. It was just a tackle that didn't need to be made on a Luton defender, going somewhat on the attack, but like I said, it's a dumb tackle, so it was a dumb yellow card. That put him on 5 yellow cards, which means he would be suspended for the next game, which is against Fulham. Then 5 minutes later, Yves Bissouma going in on the attack. So this is right before the half. Going in on the attack, 3 Luton defenders right around him. He goes down, inferring that he got clipped by a Luton defender. It ends up being he ends up getting a foul on him for simulation. So as we call it in America, flopping. He gets a second yellow, which means he's been sent off with a red. So very dumb decision by him. 2 yellow cards that shouldn't have happened. They were clear yellows, but it's something that shouldn't have happened. So Bissouma's out, I believe, the next 3 games that would be. So that is Fulham, Palace, and Chelsea, if I'm not mistaken. So he will be out those games. Actually, since it's a red card, he only might be out the Fulham game, but could be wrong there. We go into the second half. Like I said, 52nd minute, off a corner kick. Mickey van de Ven puts it in the back of the net, gives Tottenham a 1-0 lead. And Tottenham kept trying to get that second goal, and we hit the 73rd, 74th, 75th minute, somewhere around there. Postecoglou decides to sub off Son and Madison, and that kind of spelled the end of the game. It was, let's hold on for a 1-0 victory. And that's what they did. Tottenham played basically without an attack the last 15 minutes. 15 minutes-ish. It was tough watch it sometimes, but Tottenham do walk away with the victory here. So, let's take a look at some of the stats. Possession, as you would expect, Tottenham did dominate possession. 67% compared to to Luton's obvious 33. Shots on target, not what I expected when I read this. When I watched the game, I'm like, I don't think Luton are getting a lot of shots. They end up with 12 shots, which, isn't terrible, but still. Tottenham end up with 15. And then shots on target, too. I was kind of shocked by this number. It was only double the margin. Tottenham had 4 and Luton had 2, which is... I thought Tottenham had more. I thought they had at least 4 in those first 15 minutes. I guess not according to the stats, obviously. Shots in the box, Tottenham were at 10 compared to Luton's 8. Shots outside the box, Tottenham had 5 compared to Luton's 4. Expected goals, Tottenham just under that 2-goal mark at 1.96 compared to Luton's 0.76. So no real surprise there. Passes, Luton had 252 compared to Tottenham's 553. As you would expect, Tottenham, completing most of those at 86% with 473 compared to Luton Town with 170. Fouls in this game, Luton heavily fouled, were fouling, I should say. They had 16 compared to Tottenham 7. Yellow cards, Luton had 2, Tottenham had 1, and obviously the 1 red. And then corners, there weren't a ton of them in this game. Luton has 5, Tottenham have 6. So given that, as we always do, it's time to move into those player ratings. And as we always do, start at the top. Son gets a 7.1. He was subbed off in the, I believe, 76th minute. He was subbed off with Madison, and that just spelled the end of the day for Tottenham's attack. It honestly wasn't an outstanding performance from for those top 3 for Tottenham of Son, Richarlison, and Kulusevski. Son was the best out of the 3, which is why he gets the highest score. But I mean, still a score of 7.1 isn't great. It's just, it was always going to be a challenging game, like I said. So not really surprised by this. Richarlison gets a 6.8. He gets subbed off right after halftime. I mean, he was one of the worst players on the field. And that does really suck to say. But, I mean, he had an opportunity, like in the 4th or 5th minute, to just put one in the back of the net. And he didn't. And, like, it was like the clearest open net that you could have had. And I don't know why he didn't finish it. It was just, I feel bad for him, but it was just something you have to finish. James Maddison, he gets subbed off with Son. He gets the 3rd highest score in this team today. He gets an 8.2. He had the assist on the Van de Ven goal. Just what a performance from him. What a performance all season. I am scared of where Tottenham would be without him, because without him, this Tottenham team isn't like truly that great. He has been such a playmaker for this squad. He stepped into a position Tottenham needed desperately. They truly, really needed a creative central midfielder. That's exactly what Madison is, and he steps into that position and covers that. Kulusevski gets a 6.8. He got subbed off in the 90th minute. He was the only attacking threat for Tottenham within those last 15 before he gets subbed off. He did put in a shift. He had a few opportunities, but as he was going on the attack, he was the only one there, and there were 5 Luton defenders there because nobody else was coming down. Basuma gets a 6.0. Just those 2 challenges were really poor that led to the yellows. And obviously those didn't help his score, which is why he ends up with a 6.0. Sarr gets a 7.8. He had a decent game. I would say starting that second half was kind of worse. You could see him struggling a bit out there. So I did kind of downgrade his score because of that, because, I mean, you just got to kind of figure that stuff out, and he just really wasn't doing that. He did figure it out by, I don't know, with those 15 minutes left. He kind of had some support within that midfield, and he kind of figured it out. So he ends up getting a 7.8 in this game. Destiny Udogie gets a 7.9 in this game. Another good performance from him. I'd say he had a few of the same problems Sarr did. Kind of looked a little bit lost out there sometimes, but he ended up getting it figured out. Ends up getting a 7.9 in this game. Mickey Van de Ven, the goal scorer, gets an 8.7. Christian Romero gets a 9.1. And if you're wondering why the Man of the Match award is just in between those two, because since this is my show, I've decided both of them are getting it. They can split it. This backline duo was absolutely crucial in this game. They looked so good. Obviously, it is a Luton Town tax, given that, but these two put on an absolutely stunning performance on that back line. I was just floored to see it, honestly. They just looked really good. I'm really glad this is our back line for the foreseeable future. They are, especially Mickey Van de Ven, both really outstanding players. Pedro Porro gets a 7.9. He had a pretty decent game. Some trouble spots in there, but ends up getting just below an 8.0. And Vicario ends up with a 7.9. I thought he had, for the shots he faced, he had a good night in net. But obviously he didn't face that many, so he ends up with the 7.9. Looking at the players that were subbed on, Hojbjerg gets a 6.6, got a yellow card, but was still the best player of the players that got subbed on. He played the whole second half. Emerson Royale gets a 6.4. He kind of fell into a central defense position when he got subbed on, because obviously Porro didn't get subbed off, so he kind of fell into a central defensive position. He looked really comfortable in that position. If Van de Ven or Romero end up having to go out, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Postecoglou tries to play Royale in that position. And he looked pretty decent for the time that he was there, but he ends up with 6.4 in this game, just didn't play enough. Skip ends up with 6.1. Truly just didn't do much out there, which I don't know. I don't know what you do with Skip right now. He's a homegrown player, one of our own from the academy, but he just, at some points, he just doesn't look comfortable out there. Davies gets a 6.3. He got subbed on late, so there wasn't really much to grade there. So he just played just enough time for me to give him a grade, and that was a 6.3. And then Velez, he gets subbed on in stoppage time. He only played 3 minutes, so obviously not enough there for me to grade. Postecoglou ends up with a 7 in this game. It's a high 7. Like I said, I still don't get why he's subbing off Son and Madison. I get that you got to keep him healthy, but I feel if you conceded a goal in that game, there was no attacking threat out there to try to get the 3 points back. So, I don't know. We'll get to it in a minute, but we're doing pretty well right now, and he's coaching pretty well, so who am I to question him? So, given that is the player ratings for this match that was at the Kellenworth Road. We've hit an international break, the second one of the season. I hate international breaks. We don't get to watch Tottenham for 2 weeks. But I do want to take a quick look at something right now. Yeah, that's the table right now. Yeah, quite interesting, I'd say. Wouldn't you? That is Tottenham Hotspur sitting top of the table, 8 games in. So, long ways to go. I believe it's a 38 game season. So 30 games to go. Tottenham Hotspur, top of the table. Surely we're not going to win. It's year one of the Postecoglou era. What are we talking about? That's just incomprehensible. Surely we're not. Come on. But I mean, could we? I mean, nothing's stopping us right now. So, obviously, it's not going to last. But, I mean, who knows? Anything can happen. Just kind of wanted to show that for a minute. Just, 8 games into the season. Nothing really. Nothing else to mention. Yep, just going to leave it at that. So given that is going to be it for Top of the Perch today. Back after the international break, it's a Monday night football game. So a 3 p.m. kickoff here in the U.S. as Tottenham face off against Fulham. The 22nd, I believe, somewhere around there. It's going to be 2 weeks, so we will see you then for another episode of Top of the Perch.